had made a decision early in her tenure at Soft Landing Animal Sanctuary. She would not be left out of anything, not ever. This was not a preference. This was a foundational principle of her existence. The turkey in question was a heritage breed with blue-grey feathers and pink-red wattles, and the expression of someone who had already assessed every situation on the property, found most of it lacking in proper supervision. She had been raised by an FFA student who could not complete the program's final requirement. A young girl had delivered Tina to the sanctuary because she wanted her to have a forever home. Tina's sister had been recruited by the local wild turkey flock and had gone native. Tina had chosen a different path entirely. She had chosen to become essential. This meant that when Ma Human and Pa Human sat down with their morning coffee on the front porch to watch the sunrise, Tina was there. Not nearby, there, standing between them, her head rotating slowly from one to the other, as if she was following a conversation only she could understand, as if she was taking mental notes on everything they might do wrong today. When Pa Human decided to repair a fence section, Tina followed. She would stand at the edge of the work, watching with that particular look that turkeys do so well. The look that says, "I have seen you attempt to fix things before, and I have opinions about your approach." She watched him hammer the posts. She watched him run the wire. She watched him step back to assess his work. And then she would waddle closer to examine the final result, her head cocked at an angle that suggested she had already identified the structural weakness he had missed. Pa Human had become accustomed to Tina's presence. The turkey had simply become part of the landscape of daily work. She was always there, supervising, judging, present in a way that seemed to matter even when Pa could not quite explain why. But there came a day when even Pa Human had to acknowledge that Tina's supervision had moved beyond mere observation, that she was perhaps, in her own way, essential. The day was warm, and the old farm truck was due for an oil change. This was the kind of work that should have been simple. Drain the old oil, replace the filter, refill with new oil, close the hood, move on with the day. Straightforward, manageable, the kind of task that required nothing but patience and attention to detail. Pa Human lay down on his back and slid underneath the truck. The oil pan was directly above him. He could see the drain plug clearly. He reached up and unbolted it carefully. The warm oil began to flow into the bucket below. This was fine. This was proceeding as expected. And then Tina waddled over. She did not stop at a reasonable distance. She did not observe from somewhere safe and sanitary. She came directly underneath the truck and sat down right next to Pa Human in the space beside him. She was now positioned such that she could watch everything he was doing. Every movement, every action. She watched the oil drain. She watched him remove the old filter. She watched him prepare the new one. Pa Human was aware of her presence, but not concerned. Tina was always present. This was simply another iteration of her fundamental need to supervise. He continued working. The simple things on this farm had a tendency to go awry. Pa Human had learned this over the years. The fence that was supposed to hold Ralphie would not. The gate that was supposed to stay closed would open. The afternoon that was supposed to be peaceful would inevitably involve some crisis of animal management. But he did not expect the simple act of changing oil to become one of those moments. When Pa Human went to replace the drain plug, he realized it was gone. He had unscrewed it. He had watched it fall into the pan. He had set it aside in what he thought was a safe place, and now it was simply not there. Pa Human pulled himself out from under the truck and began to search. He checked his pockets. Nothing. He checked the ground around the truck. Nothing. He checked the toolbox. Nothing. He got up and looked in wider circles around the vehicle, thinking perhaps it had rolled further than he expected. Ma Human watched from the front porch where she was drinking her coffee. She could see Pa Human's frustration building. She could see him returning to the truck again and again, checking the same spots, hoping that somehow the drain plug would have reappeared through the simple act of looking at it again. It did not. Pa Human came back to the truck for what felt like the 100th time. He was frustrated now. Even the simplest things went wacky on this farm. Even changing oil had become complicated. He lay back down to continue working without the plug, thinking he would have to search more carefully or perhaps locate a replacement. And that is when he felt it. A gentle pressure on his hand. Not aggressive, not demanding, just a reaching out. Tina had extended her neck and was holding his hand gently in her mouth. She was not biting. She was not pulling. She was simply trying to get his attention. Pa Human looked at her. She made that sound that she does. That particular vocalization that turkeys make when they have something to communicate. And then she looked down at her feet. Right there, right in front of her, in the dirt and oil and general chaos under the truck, was the drain plug. Tina ruffled her feathers. She turned around. She waddled away without waiting for any acknowledgement or gratitude or recognition of what she had just done. She simply left because she had done what needed doing, and that was sufficient. Ma Human was still on the porch. She had watched the entire thing unfold. She saw Pa Human emerge from under the truck with the drain plug in his hand. She saw the realization cross his face. She saw him look at Tina as the turkey disappeared around the corner of the barn. Ma Human shook her head. She finished her coffee. She went back inside. Pa Human completed the oil change. He replaced the drain plug properly this time. He refilled the oil. He closed the hood. He cleaned up the mess. He put away the tools. He finished what he had started. That evening, as the sun was setting and the fireflies were beginning to emerge from the grass, Ma Human and Pa Human sat down on the front porch. They were quiet. They did not need to discuss what had happened. They both understood. Tina appeared, as she always did. She waddled over and positioned herself exactly where she always positioned herself, right there between them. Pa Human reached down slowly. He placed a handful of food right in front of Tina. It was not a reward exactly. It was something quieter than that. It was an acknowledgement. It was a way of saying, I see what you did. I understand what you were trying to tell me. I am grateful that you were there. Tina ate the food with the calm efficiency of someone who had simply been doing her job, supervising, being present, making sure that when things went wrong, someone was paying attention, someone who cared enough to notice, someone who cared enough to intervene. The turkey had made a decision early in her tenure at Soft Landing Animal Sanctuary. She would not be left out of anything, not ever. She had kept that promise. She kept it every single day. She was always there, always watching, always supervising, always essential. Soft Landing Animal Sanctuary is a 501c3 non-profit organization dedicated to rescuing animals from kill lots, abandonment, injury, illness, and surrender. Every day, animals like Tina remind us that presence matters, that attention matters, that supervision matters. If you would like to support the work happening here, you can donate through our PayPal link. We also have a new program called the Memorial Brick Program. If you have lost an animal friend, you can honor them with an engraved brick that becomes part of a memorial path here at the sanctuary. A donation of $50 to $75 will place one brick on our memorial trail. A donation of $100 or more will place one brick on our memorial trail and send one brick to you so that you can honor your beloved animal at home. Tina was there. Tina's always here. And at Soft Landing, we believe that remembering them matters.